So the first thing that I always make sure with all my horses is, making sure they have manners. And one of the best things you can do is when you're leading them, they need to be paying attention to you. So much like when you have a dog on heel and you stop, they need to stop while they're on this side and sit next to you. It's the same with the horse. So as I'm leading him, I stop. He needs to stop his feet as soon as I do. So there he took a step and a half. So I stopped him and I backed him up. So now we'll walk ahead again. And I stopped my feet and he stopped his feet. So I'll do this walking to the arena, walking to the paddock. Anytime I'm leading a horse, I will always stop a few times and make sure that they are going to stop when I stop. So I'll lead them forward, I stop, and he stops. And then we'll get a little fancy. I'll back up, and he needs to back up with me. And then walking it. Today I'm going to show you a few of my favorite groundwork exercises that kind of anytime I get a horse or I'm working through something, it's where I start. Other than, you have to make sure that the horse will stay out of your space and stay out of your bubble, and that kind of thing. This horse does. So one of my first exercises I do is on a small circle. I'm going to ask the horse to step under in his inside hind and step forward through his outside fore. And I do this with every horse before I get on them when they're in tack, but I always teach them with the rope halter. I make sure my body is in his center by his rib cage or where the girth would be, saddle we're on. And I'm just asking him, I can twirl the rope a little, boy. Or as they get better at it, I'll take my hand where my leg would be, and I ask him to there. So as his inside hind leaves the ground, I am against his rib cage. So really asking for that bend in his belly. Good. And the key is to make sure that he's still stepping forward in that outside fore. And you almost want to watch the inside hind and outside fore to step at the same time. Now, if they're not walking forward, you can come back and away and have your leading hand a little out and ahead of the horse and just kind of ask them to lunge a little bit. And then when they start getting the forward steps, then come in, get a little bend, and either use your hand or the rope. Another one of my favorite groundwork go-to exercises is backing in a circle. So first I make sure that my horse backs well. I like to take my hand on the knot here, thumb down towards the ground, and hold it like that. You can wiggle it a little bit if you want your horse, if your horse is wanting to be high-headed. So you can ask them to get a little round there, and just ask them to back up. This horse has gotten pretty good at this stuff, so I don't even need to really do that. I can not even touch him at all and just use my hand and send my energy at him to back up. So once they're backing up well, then you want to think about backing in a circle. So I ask him to turn his head away from me, and as he steps with you're all right, buddy, the leg that's away from me, I'm going to ask him to step out. And then I want to watch for this front leg next to me to step behind. So we're going to go out, behind, out, behind, out, behind, out, behind, out, behind. So really good. It makes the horse really think about their feet. He's got to weight his hind legs to be able to do that. I'll show you the other direction. So we're going to back. I start backing first. Then when we're kind of on a rhythm, he already knows, then I'm going to go out, behind, out, behind, out, behind, out, behind, out, behind, out, behind, out, behind. So when I circle that direction, he's weighting the right hind. The other direction, weighting the left hind. So really good to get them to think about their hind end, get them to use their shoulder girdle and move things around, engage their core. And it also has this miraculous benefit of kind of resetting their head, their brain. So if you have a horse having a Mentee B, we can do that and they come back into themselves and stop thinking so much about whatever is terrifying them or breaking them down. Here's another one of my favorite groundwork exercises. So I ask them, it's kind of, I don't know what to call it, figure eight. I'm sure there's a fancy official name for it. I just ask them to change directions and on a figure eight. So I'm going to ask him here to track to the left. So I have my leading hand out in front of me. Then I'm going to take my other hand, reach forward and grab the rope. What was my leading hand is going to go to the edge of the rope, and I'm going to ask the horse to change directions. You can also do this with a stick in your hand if you want. So I have my leading hand out. Now I'm going to take my off hand, grab close, my other hand, then asks him to turn. Good boy. And I don't move my feet. So again, switch, leading hand, come around, and move his shoulder over. So I find this really helpful when, a horse is trying to be a little bit of a bully, is on the lunge line and getting too rambunctious and playing too much. It kind of makes them think. A horse that wants to go too fast on the lunge or run over things. Good boy. I like to do this exercise. I'll put a couple of poles on the ground, lunge them over the pole, then change directions. Good, and it just really gets their shoulders moving around, loosens up their thoracic sling or shoulder girdle. Good boy. Good boy. And I can do this on the big long line, a lunge line, switch hands. Good. And you can see how it makes him move all his parts. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Louis, oh. So that is the figure eight. Okay, here's another great exercise, and this is one I'll always teach the horse in the rope halter first, but I'll incorporate this into my pre-ride routine when I'm tightening the girth and about to get on the horse. So it's leg yielding, but I'll do it along the wall. And you can also do this under saddle, which is great, but I always start here. So I'll ask the horse to come against the wall. You can do a fence as well. I keep him at about a 45-degree angle with me between his shoulder and the wall. Whoop. And I'm just going to walk alongside, facing my hips forward. Here I have the stick. Just asking him to move along. Then I'll do a turn on the forehand. Slide in on the other side. Keep him at the 45-degree angle. I try to keep him fairly straight in his body. And again, I'm always watching that inside hind leg to step underneath. And again, this starts teaching the young horses about how to leg yield, makes them think about yielding to an aid on their side. And I can also do it without a stick once they know what they're doing, so I'll demonstrate that. Again, head against the wall, 45-degree angle, my body in between the wall and his shoulder. Hold my hand out. And have a little bit of a leading arm. Good. And that's a great exercise to work on leg yielding and doing it along the wall.